The passage is about the pandemic, how it affected the UK educational system, the educational system in the United Kingdom, and how the United Kingdom lost a wonderful opportunity to overhaul its education system. Its education system had flaws. According to the author, he's pointed out the flaws and he says that during the pandemic, they could have made changes, they could have changed it, but they didn't. All right, let's quickly look at the passage and look at the key points and summarize it. To any government, a pandemic is like a war, a moment of disruption and upheaval. It's also an opportunity. The education policies embedded by the Blair and Cameron governments are badly outdated. They led to a craze for centralized assessment, the humanities being suppressed in favor of maths, and a fixation on the universities to the exclusion of their Cinderella sister vocational further education. All these policies are now challenged and fiercely defended by their lobbies. The author says these are the areas in which the education policy or policies of Blair and Cameron governments totally outdated. In what way? There's a there's an obsession or a craze for centralized assessment. That means the author is against it. The humanities are being suppressed in favor of maths. Maths is being given undue importance, and the humanities, art subjects are being suppressed. And there is a fixation, there's an you know total focus on universities to the detriment of vocational further education. Vocational education is being neglected, universities are giving a lot of focus. All these policies are now being challenged and fiercely defended by their lobbies. So there are lobbies, there are some people who are challenging these policies, and there are lobbies which are defending these policies. That's the first paragraph. The first paragraph always it gives you a clue to the rest of the passage. Whitehall's addiction to quantification reflects its craving for control. The government's addiction to quantification, numbers, quantification, calculation reflects its craving for control. He says this just demonstrate it wants to control. During the lockdown, a transient education secretary, transient means somebody who's in the process of moving from one place to another, Gavin Williamson was reduced to gaming exam results with an algorithm. A multi-million pound marking industry has flourished with its leading member Pearson now facing legal action for incorrect behavior. So, what happened during lockdown? There was a multi-million pound marking industry led by Pearson, the group of uh, big name in publishing educational material, and they are now facing legal action for incorrect behavior. Small wonder then that the OECD reports pupils in the UK as being among the most anxious in the world. So, because of this obsession on studies, marking, students in the UK are considered the most anxious in the world, more so than in exam mad China and Japan. So China and Japan traditionally have a reputation of stressing a lot on exams, and their students have the highest stress levels. But now the OECD has found that the students in UK are the most stressed students in the world. They have beaten even China and Japan in the process. The organization's director of education, Andrea Schiller, puts the UK at one end of the spectrum. Everything is standardized and assessment is high stake. All the tests are standardized and assessment is high stakes. There's a lot that is dependent on assessment, on how you do on those grades, on what grades you get on those standardized tests. Everyone teaches to the tests. It is significant that Finland, with no centralized testing, tops the OECD league table that matters. So, when examinations are concerned, Finland is top of that, the most significant part. Why? Because it has no centralized testing, the kind that is there in the UK. And the UK is, according to the author, the record is bad with its students stressed out. During the 2 years of suspended exams, now during the pandemic, exams were suspended. The author is saying during the 2 years of suspended exams, the schools could have liberated to explore new areas of instructions now commonplace to school systems abroad. What happened during the pandemic? Many school systems found a way out of this examination system. The UK could have done that, but it didn't do it. They could have delved into physical and mental health, the handling of the law, of money, skills of personal presentation, so critical in the workplace. They could have focused on these areas. Educationalists could have challenged the narrowness of A level syllabuses. They could have advanced the still hesitant cause of vocational learning and broad based baccalaureates. They could have shown, they could have learned from the mistakes, and they could have forged ahead with proper policies. They could have done it. As it is, such opportunities have slipped away in a frantic and misguided rush to make up for lost time in the league tables. So instead of doing that, instead of bringing in those changes, what did they do? There's now a misguided rush to make up for those 2 years of lost time. Liz Truss, in her conservative leadership election campaign, preferred a cliche fest of stale ideas. So Liz Truss, when she went on her campaign, she said, listen, these are the changes I'm making. The author calls it a cliche fest of stale ideas. Nothing new about it, but the same stuff, same cliched stuff. More grammar schools, more state academics, and much more maths. When she was an education minister in 2014, she lauded China's Confucius institutes and was mesmerized by the rote chanting of the Shanghai maths classes. But look at her background. She she advocated, she supported, and she praised China's Confucius institutes, and she also was mesmerized, was totally fascinated by their mugging up. That's what the Chinese do. Rote learning of Shanghai maths classes. As icing on the cake, she wants a supercharged access to Oxbridge for all students with 3 A's. Oxbridge, Oxford plus Cambridge. And she wants these students who have got 3 A's to get into Oxbridge. She is addicted to micromanagement. Clearly, the author doesn't believe in this policy. So now you've seen the authors pointed out the ills of the UK education system, how the pandemic could have been, how the government could have used the pandemic, the 2 years of no exam, to bring in some changes, overhaul the education system. Instead, it has not done it, and that opportunity has gone away. Which of the following can be concluded from the first paragraph? So we'll look at the options and then look at the first paragraph. UK schools have a craze for centralized assessment, which causes a lot of anxiety for students. There is a deadlock between those who wish to change the education system and those who wish to stick to the old methods. University education has been severely neglected in favor of vocational education. UK education system is in shambles and badly needs an overhaul. Which of the following can you conclude from the first paragraph? Let's go back to the first paragraph. To any government, the pandemic is like a war, a moment of disruption. It's also an opportunity. The educational policies are badly outdated. He did not say the education is in great shambles. He said it's outdated. They led to a craze for centralized assessment. The humanities are suppressed in favor of maths, and a fixation on universities to the exclusion of vocational studies. All these policies are challenged and fiercely debated by the lobbies. So, these policies, which the author calls outdated, are challenged by one party, which agrees with the author, maybe, and the other lobby, which is fiercely defending that these policies are fine. That has been given in one of the options. There is a deadlock between those who wish to change the education system and those who wish to stick to the old method. So we can conclude B from the first paragraph. Why not A? Which UK schools have a craze for centralized, which causes a lot of anxiety, has not been mentioned in the first paragraph. University education has been severely neglected in favor of vocational education. has been mentioned in the first paragraph. Let's just see. Severely neglected is also an extreme term. But no, universe, it is the exact opposite of what has been said in the passage. Vocational education has been neglected in favor of university education, not the other way around. I got that wrong. See, C is contradicts the passage. This is a little too uh, extreme, too general. It's outdated. The syllabi, the system, the policies are outdated. They need to be changed. And the need for the change comes only in the second paragraph. Okay. And this is anyway too extreme. So my correct answer is B.